The bells are going off. The bells are going off. What have I got? I'm targeting big fish. This is my slide baiting journey. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne. I'm down at the beach today and I'm targeting big fish with big baits. And over the next few months, I'm going to do this on a consistent basis and document everything that I do so that you guys can see my progress. I'll show you everything that I'm doing, my rigs, my baits, my method, and I'll explain why I'm fishing in a particular spot. I actually intend to fish a whole range of different beaches. I'm not just going to focus on beaches that are known mulloway hotspots. I'm going to test a whole range of different local beaches, which should be really interesting. Stick around to the end for a free PDF download which will outline some vital keys from today's session. If you're enjoying these videos, please make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's get into it. So I'm down at the beach this afternoon. It's actually high tide at 7:10 p.m. and it gets dark about 7:30 p.m. So the high tide's pretty much right on dark, that period of slack water, so that's already a big tick. I have 3 large live mullet and I've also got some squid that I caught last week, plus I've got some pilchards. So my strategy is to put out some nice live mullet. It's a good looking spot just here. Also have a fresh squid bait and the pilchard, so that's a pretty good mix. And I'm fishing a great time of the evening, a really good tide, so the expectation has to be pretty high. So I'm going to get ready now. I'm going to first of all toss my rod out that has for the slide bait. So I'll just show that to you before I cast it out. So I've set up this rod for the slide bait and you can see that I've actually got a grapnel sinker this time. In my first video where I just was testing using a slide bait, I had a star sinker. So I have a grapnel sinker with a leader, and then I've got my big ring and swivel. And one of the guys in the comments mentioned, see, I actually had the swivel tied under here, but he said the swivel's supposed to be on the main line, so I've flipped it around so the swivel's there. I'm going to toss this out into my desired location, and then once it's in position, in a little while, I'm going to slide a lovely live mullet out there. Now, where I'm fishing today, the deep water, the good water is actually not very far out. Normally, when you're slide baiting, one of the things is you can get a big bait out to productive water that might be a fair distance out, but I actually don't need to put in a very big cast today. However, I'm still going to use this method because I know I can pin the bottom and I can get the mullet right out there and it'll just stay put in a nice spot. So that's my first port of call, is to whack this out. Now, before I came to this spot, I actually lost about an hour because I had chosen a different location this afternoon, and then when I got there, I'd checked it out only 2 hours before, but when I got there, the swell had doubled in size. There was no weed when I checked it out, but then when I went down to fish there was weed. It was like a washing machine. It was huge, so I just had to make a quick call, walk back to the car, jump in the car, and drive to a different location. So I wasn't able to fish where I wanted to fish, but I think this spot certainly a lot calmer and there's some reasonably good water in front of me, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's pretty relaxing. It would have been, I think it wouldn't have been worth fishing in the other spot that I went to. There's actually a lovely deep trough here right on the shore, and only about 30 metres out there's a sandbar. And I reckon in this trough, just on this side of the sandbar, would be a great spot. I don't think I need to cast it out miles. It would be a lot more evident at low tide, but so I'm just going to flick it out towards that sandbar, just in the edge of the deep water. And I do have my other lines. I'm going to put them in a couple of different spots. I'm just going to slow it down a bit, I think. I actually put my hand on the line then to stop it going because it was going to go beyond where I wanted it to land, and it kind of landed about where I want it to be. And because I've got that grapnel sinker, yeah, I can feel it holding the bottom already. That's good. So I'm going to whack that in position. And I'm just debating whether I'll put a mullet on yet, because it's still pretty light. It's not quite high tide, the sun's getting low. And my purpose for having that out there, of course, is to catch a mulloway. I don't really want to catch a shark. So I might wait about 5 minutes before I put that mullet on. And in the meantime, I think I'll get my other rods ready. So I think before I put my mullet out on my slider, I've got this squid here that I caught. I'm going to actually just cut him down the middle. I'm going to cut this thing in half, right down the middle, even though I haven't taken the, you know, his backbone out as yet. Look at that. That looks pretty interesting. Lots of guts there, actually. That's where he's, you can see that the backbone part is. Get rid of that. All right, well, there's plenty of bait here. I think I might take this flap off, because that flap in itself would be a good bait, rather than leaving that on that piece. That's a nice bait of itself. Then I've got this lovely big thing here. Wow, that's huge. I might cut that in half again. Do a couple of long strips. So that's like 1/4 of a squid there, really. That's a huge piece. Probably too big. Let me think. I might, bearing in mind, I've got a 7/0 hook. I'm only going to put the one hook on. I think I'm going to shorten this strip to about that long. And I think that'll suit the size hook that I've got pretty well. So I'll whack that on now. So I think I'll just put this squid bait out as a set line, and then I'm getting pretty close to putting that first mullet out. I'm just rigging this really simply. I'm going to put the hook right through the top part of that piece of squid, and then bring it back through down about here. So I've just really got the hook sitting in that piece of squid. You can see it like that. And then just to hold it in position, I'm going to loop it around the top, which will stop it from moving. So then I've just got this nice piece of squid, plenty of barb exposed, and just the sort of thing that if there happened to be any mulloway out there, they would love it. Just going to get my rod holder and position this along the beach a little bit away from where I'm going to toss out that. I just noticed the moon up there, because I think it's full moon in 2 nights. I think that's a good spot. It's towards the back of this little trough that is here, and there's another little sandbar out there. I mean, of course, a salmon could take it, or a tailor, or a shark, or all manner of things would eat that squid bait. I think it's time to put out a live mullet, actually, so I'm going to whack one on my slider hook and slide him out. Alrighty, so I've got my 10/0 suicide hook onto my sliding apparatus, which is going to be going on my line, and I've got 3 mullet in here. I'm going to pick the biggest one. If you let me grab him, you can see he's a nice, good sized mullet bait. He's probably 25 centimeters long, this mullet. I mean, a few people have suggested different ways to hook them, but I'm just going to try it this way tonight. And I'll try different methods. I'll try the cable tie method. Yep, he's got plenty of gut up and go, this guy. So I'm going to whack him out. Just need to bring my rod down so that I can reach the line to get this slider on. Just put that over my shoulder for a second. Now, I want to get that under there. Under there again. Just a little bit fiddly. And then one more. Oh, what have I done there? The mullet's plenty lively, so he's not going to die just yet. Okay, there you go. Just make sure that I put the clip back on. And he is already flying out. So I was given a few instructions on slide baiting when I did the video last week. And I reckon you've got to wiggle the rod tip. You've got to keep wiggling the rod tip, get the fish going down the line. Okay, so bit of a wiggle. He's kind of he's trying to swim sideways. You've got to go straight out, buddy, not sideways. He's not really behaving himself. There's a little bit of a sideways current going that way. Look, he is getting out slowly, but this guy's getting out there slowly, but because there's a bit of sideways current, he seems to be hanging near the surface a fair bit. It's definitely making ground. I was thinking that maybe the slider might have got twisted up, but he's definitely getting further and further out. And he's disappeared below the surface now. He was on the surface for a while. As long as he gets out there, that's the main thing. So I'm going to set my drag. Hopefully he gets out in the zone. I mean, I haven't cast out that far anyway. I probably only cast maybe 40 metres. I found that a little bit awkward. I mean, the slider was on well, and he slid down just like on a flying fox, got into the edge of the water, but then was wanting to go sideways on the edge of the water instead of kind of following my line and going straight out. He was wanting to go sideways, but the current was also going sideways as well. But he has gradually got further and further out, so I'm reasonably happy with where the fish has ended up. But I guess we'll see how we go. I've got 2 more mullet, so I'll have him out there. I also got some little bells to put on my rod, because if the light starts to fade a bit, I want to be able to hear if something's going on. I don't actually have anything fluoro on there or one of those clip-on lights. I do have some moonlight though. I guess you'll learn with all of these things. It's a bit of an experience. So I think the more I do it, the better I'll get. So what I'm going to do now, I've got a squid bait out. I've got another rod. I'll just show you what I've got on my other rod. On this line, I'm just purely fishing with a pilchard on ganged hooks, which is just a great standard way to fish. And I'm just going to sit there and hold this and fish with this while I have my other 2 lines out. A pilchard on ganged hooks is just a great way to fish in general. And I'm going to hold on to this while I watch my other rods. So I'm going to whack this out in the water now. You can also catch anything on a pilchard as well. It's kind of handy, you don't have to cast very far tonight. Just got a nice deep trough on the edge. There may be some of the typical salmon out there. We'll see what, if anything, wants to go for that pilchard. Oh. Oh. I think I got bitten off by a big tailor. Hang on. It got off whatever it was. That was quite big. I may have been bitten off, I'm not sure. Had quite a large fish on then, but it got off. So let's just see what the result is. Okay, so it was on this squid bait, I've still got some squid left. I actually saw the fish break the surface. I actually think it was a big salmon, so I'm not so fussed about that. But I need to replace this bait, put a bit more on. But it was good to see the rod bending, so I think I need to go over. I'll quickly put a bit more squid on and get it straight back out there. Well, now is a great time of night. It's right on high tide, just before dark. It's just an epic time to be down at the beach having a fish. And I've got my live mullet out on the slider, and I've got a lovely piece of squid out on my other rod. So I better keep my eyes on everything, I reckon. And then I'll just flick this pilchard out in the middle. Just let that little pilly dangle down there. And this is where you kind of need to be alert and just watching all your gear, because something can happen. And it'll be actually welcome to have a little bit of moonlight. You know, we're not in summer yet, it's springtime, but it's still pretty cold. It's kind of funny, we've had a bit of warm weather, but the cold fronts have been coming in, and it's blowing a southerly wind right now, and it's pretty chilly out here. So I'm looking forward to the weather starting to warm up a bit. Now, I've had that one bite on the squid before, which I did see break the surface and jump. And I didn't get bitten off, so I figured that was just a decent salmon. Hang on, I just had a little nibble just then. What's happening with that rod? Is that a bite? Oh, I think I'm getting a bite over here. Something happened, yeah, something's going on. That's bizarre. Yeah, I hooked him that time, I think. Yeah, I've got something. It's not big though, I think. What have I got? That's interesting. I didn't hook that fish, but I actually reckon it was just a brim, just having a good old whack at this piece of squid. So my bait's still fine, I'll chuck it straight back out. That was interesting. I was getting some really hard bang, 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 bang bites, but I couldn't connect to it. I better check my pilchard though. I think I might have lost my pilchard bait as well. Yep, no bait. I'm going to quickly grab another pilchard and get out there. I'll put this pilly on. This is just a set of 3 gangs, not 4. Get that through his eye. Ready to go. Alrighty. Well, starting to get a few bites. Nothing massive at this point. Something's having a go at this pilchard. I wasn't really concentrating then. I feel like small tailor or something. I think I might have lost my pilchard bait already. My line had gone slack. Yeah, I think I might have lost my bait. Just watching my other rod. Yeah, I've got a fish on this one. It's probably a salmon, I hope not. It's not fighting much. It's going to wind it. In fact, it's coming in really quick. What have I got? Just a salmon? Yeah. Oh, it's a lot bigger than I thought, actually. It's not a small salmon. He's a lot bigger than I thought. Oh, he's got lots of sand on him. I think I will let him go. I got this piece of salmon back from, sorry, not salmon, squid back from the salmon, but it's perfectly good. So I'm going to chuck it straight back out again. And then I think I need to rebait my pilchard line. Yep, no bait. That pilchard got snaveled. Probably by a salmon like the other fish, I reckon. Yep. So I've just got a bite on my pilchard bait. I'd say the most likelihood is it's a salmon because I caught that other salmon. Yeah, I just felt something jump out of the water. Okay. It's just a small salmon. My rod with my live mullet on my slide bait, it's been out there for about half an hour or so, but I saw the rod bend before, but sometimes you just want to be confident that your bait is okay, that potentially something hasn't had a go at it and chopped it in half. You don't really want your line sitting out there thinking you've got a bait on it when you don't have a bait on it. So I think I need to actually pull that line in. I don't know whether the mullet's alive or not. I mean, if he is alive, that's fine. I can just put him back on again. I'll put him back in the bucket. I'll chuck it back out again and slide him back out again. But I think I need to check that line. I'm just going to whack a pilchard on my other line, which I just caught a small salmon on. That salmon was it was pretty small. You could almost use that for a live bait. I won't chuck this pilchard out because I know I'll get a bite pretty quickly, so I'm just going to lower this down. Can't quite see my other rod. It's getting a little bit dark. For peace of mind, I'm going to pull this one in and just see if the mullet is happily alive or... It's obviously pinned to the bottom really well with that grapnel sinker. Okay, it's coming towards me now. You know, have I got the mullet? I don't feel like I've got any bait. It's just coming in really easy. So just as well I'm checking it, because the last thing I want is... Hang on, no. I do, look at that. There's Mr. Mullet, he's alive. So I think I'll quickly remove him. It's a little bit tangled up here. Not quite sure how he's tangled up. I need to go and put him in the bucket. So I wound my line in and the mullet was fine. At least I know it was still there, it was alive, and that I did have a bait. So I've taken the slider off. I've chucked my line back out again, and now I'm going to put the mullet on again and go over and whack him on and get him out there. See, this is not the same mullet that I'm using. It's a different one. I'm putting a fresh one on. I'm going to hook him the same way through the back. It's quite tough. At least they stay on. All right, I'm going to put him on the slider, get him out there, grab the line, then 1, 2, that's it, ready to go. He's going to head out to sea. Just hold it up high. Bounce him out there. Yep, he's out beyond the edge as well already. I'm just going to stand here and bounce it a bit, like I've been instructed to. Get him out there. I actually have bought a new rod. It's 14 feet long, which I haven't used yet. I'm going to start using that one. The rod I'm using at the moment here is only 12 feet long. So I think we're in business. We've got a nice fresh live mullet back out there again. It's just a little bit after high tide now. So far I've caught 2 salmon and I lost another fish. I will get this mullet out the back there to see if there's a lovely big mulloway hanging around out there. There's only one way to find out. So I've pulled this line in, which I had a nice big flap of squid on. Not a skerrick of squid left, completely All the bait completely gone, so oh well. Probably salmon just whacking at it, I reckon. So I better put a fresh piece on. So I got this nice bit of squid here. Oops. I'm actually going to put that through a couple of times. This is not what you call finesse hooking of bait. It's just putting a nice big piece of squid on with a decent sized hook. It's certainly a good bait, that's for sure. Got to keep the bait in the water at all times. I've got these bells here that have a clip on them, and you clip them onto your rod so you can hear if something's going on. So I'm going to take these over and put one on each of my rods because it's getting a little bit dark now, so at least I've got an idea of what's going on. So the clamp on these obviously won't fit over the thick part of your rod. You've got to put them up the top. So I'm going to whack it up here on top of the rod like that. Just slide it down a little bit. Let that shake if something has a go. Sounds like Christmas. Then I'll go and do the same thing on my other rod. I might just check my bait first, just in case I've been getting bites while I wasn't watching. I bought some fluorescent tape and I put it on a couple of my rods on one night's fishing, but it was pretty useless. It really wasn't very bright at all, so that was no good. I have bought some of those light sticks which have clamps on them. I've got them in my bag, but I haven't used them yet, so I'm going to give them a go as well. But certainly the tape was pretty useless. Just thought I'd check my bait, but it's all still there, so I'll whack it straight back out again. So I've chucked this one back out. Now I'm going to put the bells on the end of it. Out there like that. Just wind up the slack line. That'll be funny if I get a bite and I hook a fish and I'm going like that with the rod, it's going to make a racket. That was a solid bite. Wondering if I hooked up a tailor because it's after dark now, which is when the tailor come around. It could be another salmon. There's certainly fish out here, but I'm actually waiting for the big ones. It feels like a salmon more than a tailor. And not a small one, it feels reasonable size. Yeah, here it is. I bring him up with this wave. Yeah, he's a good sized fish, beautiful eating fish at this size. Look at that, beautiful. I'm keeping my ears attuned for those bells on the other rods. They are a great fish. I think I'm going to be an advocate for salmon for a long time. See the gang hooks, there's one in here and one in there, so they are very effective. But I'm going to let this guy go as well. The bells are going off. The bells are going off. What have I got? You can hear those bells. I just had to run over here from my other rod, but I have a feeling it's another salmon. But the bells are good. Where is he? This would be a good thing to do with the kids. You could say I'm going bell fishing. Another healthy specimen. That's salmon number 4. I've kept a small one that was bleeding a little bit. So I bled him and kept him, but I've let the other 3 that I've caught, or this one and the other 2, I'll let them go. So we do like eating our salmon, but I don't need any right now. I think I might get 3 baits out of this piece. I might just cut him across like that, and then I'll get at least a couple more baits out of that piece. It was a decent sized squid, this one, so I think that'll go well. Well, there are no tailor out there, it's just salmon at the moment. Nothing else has moved in to this particular spot. So just going to be patient for a little bit longer and whack this guy out. I think I better take those bells off before I cast it out. I wouldn't want the line wrapping around the rod to get caught on the bells. I'll put them back on in a sec. Oh, fish! That piece of squid, I've still got the bells on the line. It only just hit the water, and I've hooked up again. So every time I chuck my line out, I'm getting whacked at the moment. It doesn't feel that big. I'm going to just bring him straight up. Oh no, he's pretty solid. So that was really quick with this salmon. I'm just going to take those noisy bells off. So I just put that fresh piece of squid on. But I think this guy's going to the table because I can't see the hook anywhere. He's well and truly swallowed it. That whole strip of salmon has just gone right down his gullet. Squid, sorry, the whole strip of squid has gone straight down his gullet. I should be able to get my bait back, actually. I don't think I've ever seen a fish swallow a bait so far. I very quickly killed the fish, but my line was disappearing into its mouth, and then my line was disappearing into its stomach. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't see a hook. You couldn't see bait, and I had a piece of squid that long with a 7/0 hook, and it was completely down its gut, so I had to perform a little bit of an operation to remove it. And I found out that the line near my hook was a bit frayed, so I need to re-tie that before I chuck it back out again. So I've cut the hook off, and there's a bit of fraying on my line around about here, which is about an inch or so above the hook. I need to remove that, so I'm just going to hold on to that, cut that off about there, and I'll re-tie the hook. And that feels really good. That line's perfect there, but that actually was damaged, so I can't use that bit of damaged line. I'm going to use the same squid bait that just caught that fish. It's actually still partially on the hook, so I'm going to tie the hook on while that bait's still on there, and then I'll just reposition the squid. So I've retied the hook on while the squid's still on it. You can see it sitting there, but that's pretty much how it came out of the stomach of that salmon. What I think I'll do is, I think I might just push the hook through a bit and just put it through the bait one more time, like that, and just wiggle this bit of squid along the hook a bit, actually, and then I'll just retie. I'll just do a loop and tie a half hitch over the top end of the bait again, and just position that like that, and that's still a beautiful bait. So I'll chuck that back out now. But I've been fishing now only for about an hour and 20 minutes maybe. It's about an hour after high tide now. I think I've landed 6 salmon, but haven't hooked anything bigger. And I've had a big live bait out the whole time. It's still sitting out there at the moment. So I'll throw this bit of squid back out, and we'll just give it a little bit longer and see if we can hook a big one. Yeah, I got one. Wasn't quite sure what was going on then. This is my pilchard bait. My line went quite slack and was coming towards me. But I have wound up with a fish. So is it salmon number 7? That's the question. It's jumping, so it's either a salmon or a tailor. Here it comes. So is it still a salmon? Yep, it's another salmon. I thought it might have been a tailor, but a salmon. This one was on pilchards on a ganged hook. You can see the ganged hooks there. So this is number 7. I've kept 2. I've kept 2 and let 4 go so far, but this guy's going back in. So I would have kept 2 and let 5 go. Okay, he's in good shape. There's a little wave for him. No turning back from there. Well, I'm going to retire this pilchard line for the evening. I think I've still got a squid bait and a whole mullet out. But I think I've given it enough time on this first occasion fishing for big fish. I've had a large live mullet out the whole time. Nothing has taken it. Tonight is 2 nights before the full moon. High tide was about half an hour before dark. And I've had a bait in the water a good hour before high tide and then probably an hour and a half after high tide. And all I've caught is salmon. But I've had some fantastic bait out there. The squid, the mullet. I've given it a really good go. I'm satisfied with this. Hang on, I can hear a bell. It's so funny. It was definitely a good ring. Yes, it's getting a little bit of a ring. Something's having a play with that squid. Just going to see if I get a bite. I don't think that was a wave because lots of waves have been coming in and it hasn't been ringing. If you'd like a free PDF download of some vital keys from today's session, hit the link in the corner or in the description below. Anyway, as I was saying, I think I've given it a really good go. I don't think I'm going to stay any later. The water's getting a little bit shallow here. So this is part 1 in my slide baiting journey. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's been a great session. I've had good fun with the salmon. Just hasn't been any other species out there other than salmon. So I'll see you really soon. I'll be straight back with some more fresh squid, some more big mullet, and probably in a different location. I'll see you then.